Hey, today, it's Miss Krumsick. We're working on lesson 14, and you're going to start bringing in some algebra into our volume and surface area. So could you please pause your video and then draw this lovely little box with base being 9.5 feet squared and volume 7 1/8 feet cubed. All right, so you have this in your comp book right now. What information are we given here? We know that we have a base, which is going to be length times height, or length times width would be our base. So if we were to draw, or if this was upside down, this face right here would be the 9.5 feet squared. Okay, and then if it was filled, it would equal this. So tell us what we know about volume. Volume is what? Volume equals, you can do length times width times height, but we've also talked about this being base. So we're going to use this information to figure out what the height is for this problem. So we know that the volume is 7 1/8 feet cubed, and it's going to equal the base, which is 9.5 feet squared, and we're going to try to find times height. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this a little bit, see if we can get this to work. So to be able to do this, then we're going to have to isolate the variable. We want to get h all by itself. So how do we do that? Well, we know that the height is timesing this, so we're going to flip-flop that, and to make it easier, I'm going to convert these into improper fractions. And so if I do 7 1/8, that is going to become 57/8, because 7 times 8 is 56 plus 57. And then 9.5 will become 18/19 over 2 times h. Okay, so if I want to isolate the height to get that by itself, I am going to do the opposite of this. I'm going to not multiply, I'm going to divide. And when we divide, we have to flip and multiply. So when I do that, I put the, hopefully you can see this. Yep. So these cancel each other out, and I'm left with the height. If I do this on this side, I have to do it over here as well. So here's where it becomes a little trickier. So we're going to do 57/8, and we're going to times it by the 2 over 19. And okay, I'm going to rewrite this one though, because the divided by needs to be next to it. So this one would be 57/8 divided by 76/8. And if I do this over here on the side, I have to remember when I'm dividing, I'm going to flip and then multiply. So that ends up being 57/8 times 8 over 76. And it's been a little while, but you can remember that these would cancel each other out to ones. And so my answer would be 57 over 76. And if I played with this, I could realize that this would reduce down to 3/4. So H will actually equal 3/4. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, so make sure you have that all copied down. And then I'm going to show you one other way that we could do it as an equation. So this is example 1. Okay, same problem, but we're going to write the formula a little bit different. So height, we could play with the equation before we plug in all the numbers. So we're still looking for height. We're still looking for the H, right? But the volume we know is going to be 7 1/8, and it's going to be divided by 9 1/2. So it's the same idea, it's just writing it differently in the equation setup. And so again, we would have 57/8 divided by 19/2. And then you could keep this, flip this, multiply. And so this time I want to show you how we can, oh, you can still see this. We're going to pre-reduce. So 2 and 8, if we remember, we go that crisscross. 2 and 8, I can divide both by 2. So this one ends up 1, this one ends up 4. And here's the crazy thing. If I do 57 divided by 19, I get 3. So this one will become 1. This one will become 3. And when I multiply those across, it gets me 3 times 1, 4 times 1. I kind of like that one a little bit better. And it still is the height. And so what would we need to label that? It would just be feet, okay? Nothing squared or cubed because we use that up here in the equation. All right, so this is example number 2, and you're gonna need these. You're gonna do some problems like this today where you're gonna manipulate the information that's given to you and then solve it using equations. So you gotta show your steps, you guys, all of them. And it's with fractions, so you need to take your time. I didn't assign too many problems, but you need to make sure that you're doing each step. All right, here we go. One more problem to share a couple different ways, and then you're going to be set on your own. Say hi, Lexi. Say hi to the kids. Okay, so here is example number 2. We have a zoo here. So a special order sandbox has been created for children to use as an archaeological digging area at the zoo. And we have to determine the volume of the sandbox. So in this one, remember, how do we determine volume? So just keeping it real, we need to do base times height times the, base times height. Ugh, I gotta wake up. Volume is length times width times height, or volume is base times height, whatever you like to do better. Swoosh this out a little bit. So what if we decide that we want to kind of cut off this little area here, and I want to figure out the volume here and then the volume for this piece to just help myself. So what would I need to do to make that happen? Talk with your partners real quick. Okay, so hopefully you have realized that we're gonna cut and we have to do some little pieces here to make things make more sense. So if I was to do this piece here, I know that my length here is gonna be 2 3/4. My span, yep, because 2 3/4 and 2 1/4 would equal 5. I know that this one's going to be 2, and then the height is going to be 1/5. So for this then, I could just do volume equals 2 times 1/5 times 2 3/4. And so I'm going to change those into improper fractions. So 2 times 1 over 1 times 5 times 8 11/4. So if I multiplied all that, 8, I would get 88 over 20, which would also equal, 88 over 20, which would also equal 4 8/20, or 4 2/5. And that would be feet, what? Cubed. Okay, am I done? Nope, because that's just this one over here. So I'm going to put this over here on the side. So my blue part is 4 2/5. And now I'm going to erase this, and we're going to work on the red side. And my red one is going to be more like this. Shoop, shoop, shoop. And this will be 2 1/4. My length will be 4 1/3. And then my height is still going to be 1/5. So again, my volume is going to be 1/5 times 2 1/4 times 4 1/3. Okay, change those into impropers. 8, 9 over 4, 12, 13 over 3. And I can multiply, and I'm going to use my handy dandy calculator. So 9 times 13 equals 117 over 20 times 3, which is 60. And so it's not going to work nice and neat, but I can reduce it to 39 over 20, or that would be 1/19 over 20th, and it is still going to be meters, and it's still volume, so it's meters cubed. So now we're going to bring this up here to finish this out. Oh, Lexi's farting up a storm. 20th meters cube. Can I add these together? Oh no, of course not, because they have to be the same denominators. So we're going to turn this into 20th. So 5 times 4, 2 times 4 is 8. My whole number can stay. Then I can add these together. And I'm just going to add the tops. So 8 19, 27 over 20. 4 plus 1 is 5. Am I done? Oh, heck no. We got to keep going because 20 goes into 27 once. So that becomes like this. So our answer is actually 6 7/20. Yep. And it will be meters cubed. Whew, that was a lot of steps. And as long as you're writing them out correctly, then you should be fine. Okay? So, I think we're good. That is your example. That would be how much sand is in that whole little piece. work out each step with your partners. Make sure that you are on the same page, and then we'll go through these together. Please don't shortchange yourself by putting in things that you're just doing in your head. Write every step down. All right. See you this afternoon.